Hi, Kayanne here, and for June, for my June daily pages, I decided to do a little something different. I've been working in an A6 Hobonichi. I do love it. It's gotten, it's a VEX, so it's just through June, and then July through December are in a separate book. So I kind of thought maybe before I start in that new VEC in July, that maybe I'd do something different for June. June's also like a super busy month, and I thought maybe just a change of pace of some sort would be nice. And I thought maybe I'll combine daily journaling with kind of the glue book or altered book journal type idea, because I do love working in those, and I thought it just might be a little refreshing change. So what I've done is, I don't want anything huge, so I went through, we're getting rid of some of our old kid books that we've had around for years, and just need to weed those out a little bit. And so these were in the get rid of pile, and these were acquired either from yard sales or library, books the library was getting rid of and had at a book sale, or were gifts, various things like that. So they were a little investment to start with. Our kids used them, and some of them our grandkids also used, and now it's just time to move them along. So it kind of gives a way of giving them some new life too. So I've just picked out 5 to consider. The first 2 are little golden books, which, because of their size and their thinness, I thought would be good candidates for this. I looked at this one for, now they don't have a page for every day in these, because these are just short little books, but I could easily combine pages, or combine days on a page, or things like that. So that doesn't eliminate them as far as I'm concerned. I chose this one because of the colors and patterns in it. I thought like this yellow brick all through here could be really fun. I could kind of choose what images to keep, like these little cleaning guys, maybe I would want to keep those, or this little guy with the pot of food, or the kitchen. Again, this pattern, this yellow pattern, I think could be really fun in the background. This, I can just see painting out the fire truck and leaving the street. Would be really fun. It also has some numbers on it already, like the first several pages. I don't know if those could be incorporated or not, but so colors, but pretty busy, and it might take a little bit more work than I want to do to really prepare that for use. The next one I considered was this one, that was a Little Mermaid one. I kind of want to steer clear of being like real Disney character. Like I would not preserve Ariel in this. I might use some of the other characters. Like I could see some fun things with like this ferocious shark. That's kind of how I feel like my calendar is sometime. I think those could be funny to use in daily pages, but most of it I would not probably incorporate into my daily journal. This could be used, I don't know. So, it would be okay. It's definitely possible to use, but again, kind of like, it just doesn't excite me or grab me. Now this one is fun. This has some really fun illustrations in it that could be fun to use, and it would be easy to block out the type, the words on it, and still have plenty of place to journal. So the potential would be there, even I could put a journaling block on here, is to just kind of leave what's there and just go over cover up the type and just use those pages as is to journal about the day. But I'm not sure that's what I want to do this time. But I might keep that in the running for a future journal. Okay, this one I kind of like the title, Something Special, because I feel like time is special and in short supply. An advantage of this one, it's got these cute little characters I could see using. Here he's looking kind of sad, and other places he's doing, different activities. So it would be possible to maybe use some of those. There's also a lot of white space, so like it would not take that much to cover up the type. One thing against it is the pages are pretty slick, and so I feel like you'd have to be a little more selective about what you used on it. Wouldn't this be great though for like a movie night or something, just to keep that on there? Or this one, when you're feeling all tangled up in something. So this one has lots of good potential. So I would say it's one of the top contenders in these. Another thing that I might add is there's some that were just too sentimental or too special of books, and I just couldn't bear, to alter them. So it had to be books I was already willing to discard. So that was a whole nother category too. And then the final one I wanted to show you was, this one says When Small is Tall. And it has these cute little animal characters. Now, any of these that I use, I will probably end up covering the cover, partly because I love to do that. But, I could keep, like if I did this one, I think I might keep that title on it. But in this one, and I counted the pages, and I could leave some title pages here, which I think could be fun. I love this parade of characters here. And I could start here and have enough for a page, for each day of the month. So that is a plus. The page numbers turn out nicely in this. And then also, I really like the amount of white space. It would be easy to cover over these text areas, to paint over. The paper has a little bit of tooth to it, so it would be easy. It might even take watercolor okay, I'm not sure, but I think it would be easier to work on. I like these little speech bubbles. If I just white out the inside of the speech bubble, I could make them, saying whatever I wanted to on there. And like this part, I would probably white out. And when I say white out, I plan to prepare it with some gesso ahead of time. Now, if you're doing just glue book style, you don't have to worry about doing that. You can just paste things right over it. But I, want to have more possibility for sketching or journaling or, whatever I might want to do. So, look at this little mouse, and with the little speech bubble, I could just see possibilities for that. So I think this is the one I'm going to go with. I like the texture of the paper. The number of the pages is really convenient. Some of the illustrations are usable, and that just gives me a little bit of a head start. So I think this is the route I'm going to go for June. I think it'll be kind of fun to work in. So next I'm just going to go ahead and start prepping these pages. And then these I may set aside to still use another time, or I don't know. I'll decide about those. This one I may even just use for collage papers, because the pages are so intensely colored. You could use these in collage. There's lots of possibilities. So I'll probably keep it at least for that. It might be fun to recycle these little numbers on there too. So we'll see. This is fun because it was one that was taken out of our local library, and so I think maybe I'll keep those stamps. Just I'm a little bit nostalgic, and it's also kind of fun that it's got the little library card pocket still in it, which could be fun to stick things into. So those are things I think I might preserve as well. Now this paper is actually not very white. It's kind of off-white, and so I think I may actually mix a little tiny bit of yellow ochre color in with it. Just to kind of mimic a little bit. It's not quite the right color, but it just softens that white. The plain white is a little bit harsh to use there. And I'm using flat acrylic, and then of course the gesso is very flat, so those will be, you know, an easy surface to work on. I'm trying to decide whether I want to keep this title. I don't think I do here. I'm not worried about covering it perfectly because, you know, I'll be writing and doing other things on here, sticking other things, and I figure by the time I do that, it's not going to be noticeable. So once I got several pages gessoed, I decided I also wanted to alter the cover of this. So I decided not to keep the title, but I did kind of enjoy these fun little characters and thought it would be a shame to cover them up. So I decided to just incorporate them as if they were part of a collage on the cover of this book, just like when I cover any of the other journals that I use. So I put the just plain old blank paper at the top to cover up the title, and then I'm layering on printables. Several of these are from my June printable sheets because I had those handy and I thought those would be fun to use and appropriate for my June journal. The printables I printed them onto transparent sticker paper, so that's a little bit of an issue when you're layering them in a collage. I had to use a white gel pen to touch up here and there, and sometimes I stuck them on a piece of white paper and then cut them out and glued them on. So there's ways around it. That's what I did with these little paint tubes, so that they wouldn't just be lost on there, that they would have the white paper behind them. So I used a combination of paint tubes and photos and travel theme kind of on the cover of this journal to kind of represent the month, as well as these fun little friendly animals. So I actually just kind of imagined this as a little scene and just started filling in bits and pieces. have any particular plan here. I'm just kind of filling things out as I go. And I know that somewhere on here I want to put June in 2023 so that that's recorded. I'm pulling out some sheets by Pocket Journal Pam here, and I got that little fun times that I put at the bottom off of there. This June date is on there, and I kind of go back and forth trying to decide where that goes. I made each of the animals holding things, so I just used little stickers and kind of trimmed them so they would look like they were, you know, like behind a hand, like I did with that pin there. So I'm doing a lot of just going through my little tiny stickers and finding things that would work and be meaningful for them to hold. So I'm pulling out another June that's off of one of my old patron sheets and thinking about it or trying it out in this spot too. I also found this sheet that was a patron sheet that has clouds and rain things on it. I thought that could be good. I have a little sheet of phrases from Illustrated Faith that I like. And then this other sheet is by Illustrated Faith too that has kind of like some headings I thought about using. I couldn't quite figure out how I wanted to make that circle work. So I'm just now kind of playing with arrangement of things and struggling a little bit with how I want to arrange them. But I decided the clouds were given and would be appropriate up by the airplane, so I started putting some clouds on there, and that just kind of helped me figure out how to finish up the top area. From there I could decide where to put my June label, and I did go with this by Pocket Journal Pam. I cut out each letter individually so that I could kind of place it where it would best fit in. So I got those on there. I decided to use another cloud as a little bit of a filler space, and that would also could be a place then for my 2023 to go. Finally getting those all stuck down, and they kind of help hide that transition between the white paper and the more off-white of the book. I didn't worry too much. I could have gone back in with some paint or, you know, kind of spruced it up, but I thought this is just a journal for 1 month. And, you know, it's not that big a deal, so decided it wasn't really worth it. I do go back in with a white gel pen here that kind of helps blend things in that cloud where that transition between the colors of paper are. I decided I really liked how that looked on the clouds, so I added some on the other clouds as well, just to make them a little more uniform. Now that I'm finished up, I'm just covering the whole cover with some clear packing tape just to kind of seal everything together and make sure none of those loose edges come off or loose pieces, and just make it a little bit more sturdy finish. So I just cover the front. I don't need to worry about the back side because I didn't do anything on there. I just left it as is. I believe it was just like a plain blue cover on the back. And now I'm taking one of my little sketchbook or journal blocks that I made to go like inside the cover of a journal or sketchbook or whatever, and adding that in. So now I'm ready to go in and do some of my work on some of my daily pages. On the right here I had already done some work in it. I also did on one of the like title pages, there was this whole parade of animals, and I did what was supposed to be kind of imitation of the city skyline there. So I did that, and I'm just kind of taking a look where things stand. So I already have some images ready. For the first one is just a photo of my Patreon sheets, and the other is this little image that I cut out of a manga style graphic novel, and it has a lot of figures in it that it was also in the stash of books to get rid of, and it just has a lot of people making kind of dramatic faces, and I thought those would be fun to use as images in my journal. So this particular one is cut out of that, and I thought was perfect for the day when I had a big to-do list to take care of. So I am sticking that woman in. On this day, we were pretty busy getting art packed up and ready to load for the show, and doing inventory and all kinds of things like that. So I decided to draw our little totes that we carry our art in all around this lady here. So I kind of sketched that in, and then go ahead and finish it off with some inking and some watercolor. On these days, we were at art fair, and so I have a bunch of photos from that. Kind of felt like I was doing a puzzle, trying to fit everything in that I wanted to on these couple pages. I didn't want to do a whole bunch of tip-ins. I did end up tipping in that business card down there, just for the sake of space, but I wanted to kind of keep it to a minimum, I guess. The other challenging thing was trying to decide if I wanted to keep the illustration that was on the right side of the page. And I certainly could have covered it up, any part of it up, or covered it up entirely, but it just seemed appropriate for that little mouse to be saying something about going home. So I decided to leave it, but it would have been fine to cover it up too. So, I don't know which way is better. I briefly thought about putting a map of the show in there because I do really like the look of maps on pages, but that definitely would have required some space, and I just decided it wasn't that important. I decided to settle for just the name of the art show and one of the many photos of trees that I took on the campus that the show was being held at, and call it good. I prepped the next couple days and decided to call it good at that. So now I just looking back through a little bit and admiring what I've done. So from the cover to one of the title pages to this little illustration of the animals in the city, and then on through the first and the second, and then the third and the fourth at the art fair. And then I'm ready to move on to the next pages later. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.